Story disclaimer. This story is a work of fiction and is intended for entertainment purposes only. The content includes dark themes, horror elements, and fictional depictions of rituals and sacrifices that are purely imaginative and not reflective of any real-life practices or beliefs. Viewer discretion is advised. This video is not suitable for younger audiences, and parental guidance is recommended. The story does not endorse or promote any harmful behavior, violence, or dangerous activities. Please note that all characters, events, and settings are entirely fictional and created for the purpose of storytelling. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events, is purely coincidental. In these gripping chapters, Kito's journey intensifies as he battles shadows, uncovers powerful secrets, and faces trials that test his courage, wisdom, and love. As he grapples with betrayal and alliances, Kito must choose between the power he holds and the bonds that define him. With his closest friends in danger and an enigmatic mentor by his side, the stakes rise, propelling Kito into a final confrontation with the circle. But even victory holds a price. Can Kito harness the light within and protect those he loves, or will the shadows claim everything? Stay with Kito through triumphs and sacrifices as he races toward a fate that will reshape their world. Kito's heart raced as he ventured deeper into the temple's hidden corridors. The air thickened with tension, and shadows danced menacingly along the stone walls. With every step, he felt the weight of the secrets he now possessed. The ancient tome held knowledge that could either save or doom him. He paused at a heavy door, its surface adorned with intricate carvings of mythical creatures. The door seemed to breathe, pulsing as if it were alive. He pressed his palm against it, and to his surprise, it swung open with a deep groan, revealing a vast chamber filled with flickering torches and an altar bathed in crimson light. In the center stood an imposing figure draped in black robes, near the enigmatic leader of the circle. Her eyes glinted like shards of glass, a smirk playing on her lips as she regarded Kito. "I've been expecting you," she purred, her voice smooth and chilling. "What do you want, Nia?" Kito demanded, trying to mask the fear that crept into his voice. "I'm done with the circle." Nia chuckled softly, stepping forward, shadows swirling around her. "You think you can simply walk away? The circle is a part of you, Kito. You were born into this destiny." He clenched the tome tightly, its energy thrumming in response to his rising anxiety. "I am not a puppet for your games. I have the power to break free." "Power?" Nia sneered, circling him like a predator. "You think that book holds true power? It's just a tool. The real strength lies in knowing how to wield it." Kito felt the shadows at his feet stir, rising like mist around him. "What do you mean?" "Look around you," she gestured to the walls, which suddenly flickered with images, visions of the circle's dark past, betrayals, and lost souls. "These are the whispers of the fallen. They will guide you if you let them." The air grew heavy, and Kito felt a pull, a dark temptation gnawing at his resolve. The whispers echoed in his mind, offering promises of greatness and revenge. "Join us, Kito. Together, we can control the shadows, make them bend to our will." "No!" Kito shouted, fighting against the allure. "I won't be like you. I won't become a monster." Nia's expression hardened. "Then you are a fool. You think you can stand alone against the circle. We are everywhere, Kito. Your friends, your family, they're all pawns in this game." Kito's stomach twisted at her words. The thought of his loved ones being used against him filled him with dread. "What have you done to them?" he demanded, fury igniting within him. "They are safe for now," she replied, her voice dripping with mockery. "But how long can you protect them? The circle will always find a way to exploit your weaknesses." "Enough!" Kito shouted, channeling the power of the tome. The room trembled as he recited an incantation, light bursting forth from his hands. The shadows recoiled, hissing in fury. I will fight you. Nia raised her hands, summoning the darkness around her. Then let us see whose will is stronger. With a flick of her wrist, shadows erupted from the walls, forming monstrous shapes that lunged at Kito. He braced himself, heart pounding, as he unleashed the light, creating a barrier that clashed with the darkness. The room became a battlefield of light and shadow, each force fighting for dominance. Kito felt the whispers in his mind growing louder, urging him to embrace the darkness, to unleash his true potential. For a moment, he wavered, the temptation gnawing at his heart. No, he roared, remembering the faces of his loved ones. He pushed through the doubt, drawing on the strength of the light within him. I will protect them. With renewed determination, Kito unleashed a blinding burst of energy, causing the shadows to recoil and shatter against the brilliance. Nia staggered back, fury etched across her face. You think this is over, she spat, her voice laced with venom. This is just the beginning. The room trembled as Nia's dark energy surged, and the walls began to crack. Kito knew he had to escape. Grabbing the tome, he sprinted toward the door, the shadows clawing at him, desperate to reclaim their power. As he burst through the door, he could hear Nia's voice echoing behind him, filled with rage and dark promises. You cannot run from your destiny, Kito. The circle will find you. Outside, the night was still and heavy, the moon casting an eerie glow over the temple. Kito paused, breathing heavily, the weight of the tome a reminder of the battle he had just faced. But he couldn't let his guard down. Nia's threat lingered in the air like a storm ready to unleash its fury. As he made his way through the twisting paths of the temple grounds, Kito felt a mix of fear and resolve. The circle would not rest, and he had to prepare for what lay ahead. The whispers of the shadows echoed in his mind, a chilling reminder of the power he had yet to fully understand. But for now, Kito was determined to protect his loved ones and uncover the truth behind the circle's dark legacy. He would not be a pawn in their game, or he would be the master of his fate. As dawn broke over the city of Kisa, a golden light filtered through the trees, but Kito's heart remained heavy with the weight of his choices. He clutched the ancient tome, its leather cover warm against his palm. The whispers had quieted, but their implications reverberated in his mind. How could he stand against the circle when they had so many allies, even among those he loved? He made his way home, navigating the bustling streets where vendors called out, hawking fresh fruit and spices. But the usual vibrancy felt muted to him. Faces turned away as he passed, their eyes flickering with fear and suspicion. He sensed that the whispers of the circle were already spreading like wildfire. How long before they turned against him? Arriving at his modest home, Kito took a deep breath before stepping inside. The familiar scent of groundnut soup filled the air, a comfort that momentarily eased his mind. His mother, Mama Amina, was stirring the pot, her brow furrowed with concern. Kito, she exclaimed, rushing to him. I was worried sick. You didn't come home last night. I'm fine, Mama, he replied, forcing a smile. But he couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked just beyond their door. Your friends have been asking about you, she said, her eyes searching his for signs of trouble. They are worried. You've been acting strange. Kito hesitated, the weight of his secret pressing down on him. I just need some time, Mama. I'm dealing with some things. Before she could respond, the sound of hurried footsteps approached. Kito turned to see his closest friend, Juma, bursting through the door, panic etched on his face. Kito, you have to come quickly. Juma's breath came in quick gasps. It's Amina. She's in trouble. A cold wave of fear washed over Kito. Amina, the kind-hearted girl from their neighborhood, had been his childhood friend. What happened? He demanded, his heart racing. I heard whispers, Juma explained, eyes wide with fright. The circle has taken her. They are holding her at the old quarry. Kito felt his stomach drop. The old quarry. But why? They think she knows something about you, about the book. Juma exclaimed, desperation in his voice. We have to go now. Without thinking, Kito grabbed the tome and headed out the door, determination fueling his every step. The old quarry lay on the outskirts of the city, a desolate place where the shadows grew long and dark. The two friends rushed through the streets, the urgency of their mission pressing heavily upon them. As they approached the quarry, the atmosphere shifted. The once vibrant sounds of the city faded, replaced by an oppressive silence. Kito's heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the fear that threatened to overwhelm him. Suddenly, they spotted a flickering light in the distance, illuminating the entrance to the quarry. That must be it, Juma whispered, glancing at Kito. What do we do? Kito took a deep breath, recalling Nia's chilling words. We have to be careful. If the circle is involved, they'll be expecting us. Creeping closer, they reached the edge of the quarry and peered into the darkness. There, bound and frightened, was Amina, surrounded by a circle of hooded figures. Kito's heart raced as he recognized Nia among them, her voice a soft hiss that pierced the night. Reveal the secrets you possess, Amina, Nia demanded, her tone both seductive and threatening. We know you're connected to Kito. Tell us what he seeks, and you will be spared. No. Let her go. Kito shouted, adrenaline surging through him. The cult members turned, their eyes glinting with malice, but Kito pressed on. You don't have to do this. Nia's lips curled into a cruel smile. Oh, the brave hero arrives just in time. But you're too late. She knows more than you think. Kito felt a rush of emotions, a fear for Amina, anger at the circle, and a desperate need to protect those he loved. I won't let you harm her, he declared, stepping into the light, the tome clutched tightly in his hands. Nia laughed, a sound that echoed eerily through the quarry. You believe you can save her. You're merely a boy playing with shadows. As she spoke, the other cult members began to chant, their voices rising in an ominous rhythm that vibrated through the air. Dark energy crackled around them, and Kito felt the familiar whispers returning, urging him to unleash the tome's power. With a fierce resolve, Kito opened the book, reciting the ancient words he had memorized. Light surged forth, clashing against the dark energies of the circle. The ground shook, and the hooded figures staggered back, eyes wide with fear. Stop him! Nia screamed, her voice slicing through the chaos. But Kito pressed on, pouring his will into the words, determined to protect Amina and free her from their grasp. The light enveloped the quarry, illuminating the dark corners that had been shrouded in shadow. Kito felt the energy of the tome coursing through him, amplifying his determination. He would not fail. Suddenly, the ground beneath the cult members began to crack, fissures appearing as the light surged. Amina gasped, and Kito's heart raced as he caught her frightened gaze. Nia, he shouted, this ends now. With one final incantation, a blinding flash erupted, sending waves of energy rippling through the air. The shadows recoiled, and Kito could see the fear etched on Nia's face as her power waned. But just as victory seemed within reach, the blinding flash erupted from the shadows, then Kito was thrown back, landing hard on the ground. He glanced up, disoriented, to see a shadowy figure emerging from the darkness, a new player in the game, their intentions shrouded in mystery. The figure raised a hand, and the cult members recoiled, their chants fading as they fell silent. Kito felt a chill run down his spine. Who was this newcomer, and what did they want with the circle? As he struggled to his feet, Kito knew this battle was far from over. He had awakened something powerful, and the shadows were only beginning to stir. Kito struggled to his feet, confusion swirling in his mind. The shadowy figure loomed before him, draped in darkness that seemed to absorb the light around it. Kito's heart raced, he could sense that this was no ordinary person. The air thickened with tension, and the cult members began to retreat, their confidence shattered. Who are you? Kito shouted, anger and fear battling within him. The figure stepped closer, revealing a face partially obscured by a hood, but Kito could make out glinting eyes that seemed to see through him. I am Zai, the figure said, a voice smooth and commanding. And you, Kito, have stirred forces far beyond your understanding. A chill ran down Kito's spine. What do you want with Amina? Let her go. Zai's laughter echoed like a haunting melody, sending shivers through Kito's bones. You misunderstand, boy. I have no interest in your friend. I'm here for the book. It holds secrets that could reshape our world. Kito's grip tightened around the tome, feeling its power pulsate in his hands. You'll never get it. Zai's expression turned serious. You don't comprehend the danger you're in. The circle is merely a pawn in a much larger game. If you wish to protect Amina and your city, you must come with me. The cult members hesitated, glancing nervously at their leader. Nia's face was a mask of fury. You dare to challenge me, Zai? This is my domain. Zai turned his gaze toward her, eyes flashing with intensity. You have no power here anymore. Kito's awakening has changed the balance. Kito, realizing the gravity of the situation, called out to Amina. I'll get you out of here, I promise. But Amina shook her head, fear in her eyes. Kito, don't trust him. He's dangerous. With a wave of his hand, Zai cast a spell that wrapped the quarry in a shroud of darkness. The air vibrated with energy as the shadows danced ominously around them. Time is short. The circle will regroup. Choose quickly. Kito felt torn. He wanted to protect Amina, but he also understood the weight of Zai's words. The circle was a formidable enemy, and he needed allies. What do you propose? Come with me, Zai urged, his voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. I can help you understand the power within you, and together we can dismantle the circle. Kito hesitated, glancing at Juma, who looked equally uncertain. What about Amina? Zai's eyes softened for a moment. She will be safe. The circle won't risk exposing themselves now. They'll retreat to plot their next move. With the cult members retreating, Kito knew he had to make a choice. Finally, he nodded, determination surging through him. All right, I'll go with you. But I'll be back for Amina. Smart decision, Zai replied, gesturing for Kito and Juma to follow. We have much to discuss. As they moved deeper into the shadows, Kito glanced back at Amina, who looked small and frightened, and he silently vowed to return for her. Zai led Kito and Juma through twisting alleys and narrow pathways until they arrived at an unassuming door hidden beneath overgrown vines. Kito's heart raced as Zai pushed it open, revealing a dimly lit room filled with ancient artifacts and scrolls. The air smelled of incense and mystery. Welcome to the sanctuary, Zai announced, his voice echoing softly against the stone walls. Here, we can learn the true nature of the power you possess. Kito stepped inside, his senses overwhelmed. Each item in the room seemed to pulse with history and energy. What is this place? He asked, awe creeping into his tone. This is where we gather knowledge that the circle wants to keep hidden, Zai replied. He gestured to a table filled with scrolls. You have awakened a power within yourself, Kito. You must learn to harness it. What do you mean? Kito felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. What power? The book you hold is not just a collection of stories, it's a conduit for ancient magic. The circle seeks to control it, but you have the potential to use it for good, Zai explained. Juma, still looking uncertain, asked, how do we know we can trust you? Zai turned, a faint smile on his lips. Trust is earned, my young friend. You will see the truth in time. For now, focus on understanding what lies ahead. Kito felt a spark of hope ignite within him. What do we do first? First, you must learn to open your mind, Zai instructed, his voice dropping to a low, soothing tone. Close your eyes and listen. As Kito followed Zai's instructions, he felt the room fade away, replaced by visions of swirling colors and shapes. A sense of connection flooded him, and he understood that the energy around him was alive, waiting to be channeled. But just as he began to grasp this new reality, a loud crash interrupted the moment. The door flew open, and cult members stormed into the sanctuary, their faces twisted with rage. Zai! You traitor! Nia shouted, her voice cutting through the air like a blade. You will pay for this. Kito's heart dropped. We need to hide, he whispered urgently. But Zai remained calm, stepping forward. You think you can intimidate me, Nia? You underestimate the power of unity and knowledge. As the cult members advanced, Kito felt the tome pulse in his hands. He could feel its energy, almost as if it were responding to his fear. What do I do? He murmured to Zai. Channel your energy, Kito. Zai commanded, eyes blazing with intensity. You can protect this place. With a deep breath, Kito closed his eyes again, focusing on the warmth of the book. He began to recite the ancient words he had memorized, and a wave of light surged forth, illuminating the room and pushing back against the encroaching darkness. Nia and her followers stumbled backward, eyes wide with shock. What is this? Nia screamed, her confidence wavering. The energy in the room swirled around Kito, lifting him slightly off the ground as he poured his heart into the spell. The light enveloped the sanctuary, protecting them from the cult's grasp. Keep going. Zai shouted, his voice ringing with encouragement. Kito felt exhilaration surge through him as he fought back against the cult members, who recoiled in fear. The sanctuary pulsed with magic, a force of unity against the darkness. With every word he spoke, he felt stronger, more empowered. But in the chaos, Kito suddenly felt a tug at his consciousness. A vision appeared, Amina, trapped and afraid, calling out to him. The vision momentarily shattered his focus, and a crack appeared in the protective barrier. Concentrate. Zai urged, eyes locked on Kito. Don't let the vision distract you. But the image of Amina was too strong. I have to save her. Kito cried out, desperation flooding his heart. No. You must finish this fast. Zai shouted, but Kito felt his resolve wavering. In that moment of hesitation, Nia seized the opportunity. Get him, she commanded her followers, and they charged forward, their collective energy colliding with Kito's spell. The sanctuary erupted into chaos as Kito struggled to maintain the light around him. The cult members surged forward, their desperation fueling their attack. The room felt alive with energy, but Kito was torn, his heart ached for Amina, and he could see her frightened face in his mind. No. Zai's voice broke through the noise. Kito, focus. Channel the power. Kito tried to reassert his concentration, but the vision of Amina intensified, pulling at his thoughts. He could hear her voice faintly calling to him, pleading for help. Kito. Please. With every heartbeat, he felt the connection growing stronger. He couldn't abandon her. I have to help her, he shouted, feeling the light flicker. Zai stepped closer, urgency filling his voice. Kito, you must trust that she is safe for now. The circle needs to be stopped fast, or there will be no one left to save. Kito hesitated, torn between two worlds. But as the darkness closed in, he realized that if he lost control now, everything he cared about would be lost. Taking a deep breath, he called on the energy of the tome, forcing it to coalesce around him. A brilliant burst of light erupted from Kito's hands, sending shockwaves through the sanctuary. The cult members stumbled back, fear etched across their faces. The light pushed against the shadows, illuminating the room as Kito fought to reclaim his focus. Channel your love for Amina into the light. Zai urged, his voice a beacon amidst the chaos. Let it guide you. Kito thought of Amina, the laughter they shared, the moments of joy, and the bond they had forged. The love he felt for her surged within him, infusing his magic with purpose. With renewed determination, he shouted the incantation again, and the light blazed even brighter. Nia screeched in fury, raising her arms to summon a dark energy, but Kito was faster. The light enveloped her, consuming her shadowy tendrils and forcing her to stumble backward. The other cult members gasped, their confidence crumbling. Retreat! Nia shouted, panic rising in her voice. With a final, powerful incantation, Kito unleashed a wave of energy that shattered the darkness. The cult members fled the sanctuary, their screams echoing through the air as they disappeared into the shadows. Exhausted, Kito collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily. Zai knelt beside him, a proud smile on his face. You did it, Kito. You embraced your power. I didn't want to leave Amina, Kito admitted, guilt creeping into his heart. What if they hurt her? Zai placed a hand on Kito's shoulder. She is safe for now. The circle is wounded and will retreat to plot their next move. But we must act quickly. As Kito caught his breath, a thought struck him. How do we find Amina? What if they are holding her somewhere? Zai stood, determination flashing in his eyes. We will find her. But first, you must master the power within you. Only then will you have a chance against the circle. Kito nodded, determination flooding his heart. He wouldn't let Amina down. What do we do next? Next, we prepare for what lies ahead, Zai replied. We'll gather allies and train you to harness your magic. The real battle is only beginning. Days turned into weeks as Kito trained under Zai's guidance. He learned to harness the power of the book, unlocking its secrets and weaving magic that pulsed with ancient energy. The sanctuary became a refuge filled with the quiet hum of focused determination. But each day, Kito felt the weight of Amina's absence. The vision of her trapped haunted his thoughts, pushing him to train harder, to be stronger. He practiced tirelessly, weaving spells that illuminated the sanctuary, growing more adept with each passing moment. One afternoon, as sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows, Juma approached Kito with a grave expression. Kito, there are whispers of the circle gathering again. They are regrouping, and we need to act. Kito's heart raced. What are they planning? They seek revenge, Juma replied, his voice low. We've been monitoring their movements, and they're searching for you. They believe you have the book. Zai overheard their conversation and stepped in, the frown marring his brow. This is what we feared. They will stop at nothing to reclaim the power they lost. Kito clenched his fists, resolve hardening within him. We can't let them find us. We need to protect the sanctuary and Amina. Zai nodded, his demeanor serious. We will need allies. Those who understand the stakes at play. I know of a group who opposes the circle. They can help us. Who? Juma asked, curiosity flickering in his eyes. A secret society known as the Guardians of Light, Zai explained. They are few in number but possess great wisdom and strength. We must seek them out. As they made preparations for the journey, Kito felt a mix of anticipation and dread. They would leave the sanctuary, a place that had become a second home. But he knew it was necessary. Gather your belongings, Zai instructed. We leave at dawn. That night, Kito couldn't sleep. He stared at the book, its pages glowing softly in the darkness, and felt a connection to Amina. I will save you, he whispered, determination flowing through him like fire. As dawn broke, Kito, Juma, and Zai set out on their journey, the weight of the world resting on their shoulders. The journey to find the Guardians of Light was fraught with peril. They traversed dense forests, crossed treacherous rivers, and navigated labyrinthine pathways. Each step felt heavy with purpose, and Kito's resolve only grew stronger. After days of travel, they finally arrived at a hidden clearing, the air thick with anticipation. In the center stood a grand oak tree, its branches stretching toward the sky, surrounded by a circle of stones etched with ancient symbols. "This is the meeting place," Zai announced, leading the way. "We must invoke the guardians." Kito felt a sense of reverence as he approached the tree, the energy pulsating around them. Zai began to chant an incantation, his voice resonating with power. The air crackled with magic, and Kito could feel the ground vibrating beneath his feet. Suddenly, figures emerged from the shadows, cloaked in garments of white and gold, their faces obscured by hoods. Kito's heart raced, he felt both fear and awe. "Who dares to summon the guardians?" one of the figures asked, voice echoing like thunder. Zai stepped forward, unwavering. "I am Zai, and these are my companions, Kito and Juma. We seek your aid against the circle." The guardians exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, the lead guardian lowered their hood, revealing a wise, weathered face. "The circle has stirred the forces of darkness. Your courage has brought you here, but are you prepared for the trials ahead?" Kito nodded, feeling the weight of their gaze. "I'm willing to do whatever it takes to protect Amina and defeat the circle." The guardian smiled faintly. "Your heart speaks the truth. But understand, the path is fraught with danger. You will face challenges that will test your resolve and strength." Zai stepped in, urgency lacing his tone. "We don't have much time. The circle is mobilizing, and we need the guardian's wisdom to stand a chance." "Very well," the guardian replied. "You will undergo a trial to prove your worthiness. Only then will we aid you." As the guardians led Kito, Juma, and Zai deeper into the clearing, Kito felt a mix of fear and anticipation. He knew the stakes were high, and he couldn't afford to fail. The guardians led Kito and his companions to a series of altars, each adorned with symbols representing various virtues: courage, wisdom, compassion, and sacrifice. Kito felt the weight of their importance pressing down on him. "The trials will test your commitment to these virtues," the lead guardian explained. "Only by proving your worth can you earn our aid." Kito nodded, determination surging within him. "I'm ready." "Very well," the guardian replied. "The first trial is the trial of courage. You must confront your deepest fear." As the words left the guardian's lips, the ground beneath Kito's feet began to shift. The surroundings transformed, morphing into a darkened forest filled with whispers and shadows. Kito felt an icy grip on his heart. "Find the light within you," Zai's voice echoed in his mind. "Remember your purpose." Kito pressed forward, heart racing as shadows swirled around him, forming figures that embodied his fears, failure, loss, and the torment of Amina's absence. He clenched his fists, willing himself to push through the darkness. "Focus," he shouted, recalling the love he felt for Amina and the promise he made to save her. "I will not be afraid." As he spoke those words, a warm light began to emanate from his chest, illuminating the darkness around him. The shadowy figures recoiled, and Kito felt empowered. He surged forward, breaking through the dark forest, emerging back into the clearing. The guardians stood waiting, approval in their eyes. "You have passed the trial of courage," the lead guardian declared. "Now, prepare for the trial of wisdom." Kito felt a rush of relief but knew the challenges were far from over. As the guardians prepared the next trial, Kito steeled himself, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The clearing shifted again, the air thickening with anticipation. Kito found himself standing in a vast library, the walls lined with towering shelves filled with ancient tomes and scrolls. The scent of parchment and ink enveloped him. A guardian appeared beside him, their expression serious. To pass the trial of wisdom, you must solve a riddle that unlocks the knowledge hidden within this library. Kito nodded, determined to prove himself. The guardian began, listen closely. I have keys but open no locks. I have space but no room. I have a mouth but do not speak. What am I? Kito furrowed his brow, pondering the riddle. Time felt like it was slipping away, and he could sense the urgency building around him. Keys at space, mouth. Suddenly, a memory sparked in his mind, his phone, filled with apps and information. A computer, he exclaimed. The guardian shook their head, voice calm. Think deeper. Kito paced the library, scanning the shelves, desperate for inspiration. Then it struck him. A piano, he shouted, excitement flooding through him. The guardian smiled, nodding in approval. Correct. A piano holds keys, offers no physical space, and has a mouth that does not speak. With a flick of their wrist, the guardian gestured, and books began to glow, revealing hidden knowledge. You have passed the trial of wisdom. As the knowledge washed over him, Kito felt a sense of clarity. He had faced his fear and unlocked the power of knowledge. But there was still one trial left. The landscape transformed once more, and Kito found himself in a serene garden, vibrant flowers blooming all around. But the air was heavy with sadness. A guardian approached, eyes filled with compassion. The final trial is the trial of sacrifice, they explained. To pass, you must give up something dear to you. Kito's heart sank. What must I sacrifice? The guardian pointed to a radiant flower in the center of the garden, its petals shimmering with an otherworldly glow. This flower represents your love for Amina. If you choose to give it up, you will gain immense power to save her. Kito stared at the flower, his heart racing. But if I give it up, what will happen to Amina? The power it holds will amplify your magic, the guardian replied. But it will come at a cost. You may never see Amina again. Tears welled in Kito's eyes. I can't choose. I love her, but I need to save her. Make your choice, Kito, the guardian urged gently. Kito knelt before the flower, trembling. He could feel the weight of his love for Amina, the bond they shared, but he also felt the urgency to save her. I can't abandon her, he whispered. With a deep breath, he reached for the flower, tears streaming down his cheeks. I'll sacrifice my love to save her. As he plucked the flower, its glow intensified, enveloping him in radiant light. The energy surged within him, filling him with magic unlike anything he had ever experienced. You have passed the trial of sacrifice, the guardian said, their voice echoing with reverence. Now, you are ready. With the trials behind him, Kito returned to the clearing, invigorated by the power coursing through him. The guardians surrounded him, their expressions proud. You have proven your worth, the lead guardian declared. We will aid you in your fight against the circle. Kito felt gratitude swell within him. Thank you. Together, we can save Amina. Zai stepped forward, his voice filled with conviction. What are our next steps? The lead guardian nodded, gesturing to a map spread across an altar. The circle has a stronghold hidden within the city. They are planning to perform a dark ritual to strengthen their power. Kito's heart raced at the thought of Amina in danger. We need to stop them before it's too late. The guardian continued, we will provide you with the knowledge of the incantations needed to counter their magic. But you must be ready for a fierce battle. Prepare your team, Zai added. We will gather those willing to fight against the circle. As they made their preparations, Kito felt a mix of hope and dread. He had allies now, but the fight ahead would be unlike anything he had faced before. Let's move quickly, Kito urged. Amina's life depends on it. The night was dark as Kito, Zai, Juma, and the Guardians of Light approached the circle's stronghold. The air was thick with tension, and Kito could feel the magic pulsing around him. As they neared the entrance, the shadows writhed and figures began to emerge. The cult members stood guard, their eyes glowing with malevolence. "Stand back," Kito shouted, raising his hand, channeling the energy he had harnessed. A brilliant light erupted, illuminating the darkness and causing the cult members to stagger. "Get inside," Zai commanded, leading the charge. The battle that followed was chaotic, a dance of light against darkness. Kito fought with everything he had, wielding the magic he had learned, weaving spells that sent shockwaves through the cult members. But Nia emerged from the shadows, her eyes ablaze with rage. "You dare challenge the circle?" Kito felt fear grip him but pushed it aside. "I will save Amina." "Fool." Nia laughed, her voice echoing. "You're too late. The ritual has begun." Kito felt his heart drop. "No." With renewed determination, he focused on the energy swirling within him, channeling it toward Nia. "You will not succeed." As their powers clashed, Kito felt the force of darkness pushing against him. He drew on the love he still held for Amina, letting it guide him. "I will fight for her." With a fierce yell, Kito unleashed a surge of light that collided with Nia's darkness, creating a shockwave that shook the very foundations of the stronghold. As the light engulfed the stronghold, Kito felt a rush of strength. The darkness began to waver, and he could see Amina's figure bound in the center of the chamber. "Amina," he shouted, desperation fueling his magic. Nia's furious cries echoed around him, but Kito remained focused. He rushed forward, determination coursing through his veins. "I will free you." With a swift incantation, he broke the binding spell around Amina, and she fell into his arms, tears streaming down her face. "Kito, I knew you would come." "I'm here," he whispered, relief flooding his heart. "We are getting out of here." As they turned to escape, Nia roared, summoning the last remnants of her power. "You will pay for this." But Kito stood firm, his resolve unshakable. "You're wrong, Nia. Love is stronger than your darkness." With a final, powerful incantation, he unleashed a blinding light that enveloped Nia, disarming her and sending her crashing to the ground. The cult members, weakened and disoriented, began to flee. "Let's go," Zai urged, leading the way out of the crumbling stronghold. Kito held Amina tightly, the warmth of her presence rekindling his spirit. As they emerged into the night, the stars shone brighter than ever, and Kito felt a sense of victory wash over him. Back at the sanctuary, Kito, Amina, Zai, and Juma stood together, the atmosphere filled with a sense of hope. The battle was won, but Kito knew the war was far from over. "We must rebuild," Zai said, determination lacing his voice. "The circle may be weakened, but they will not give up easily." Kito nodded, turning to Amina, who was still trembling but radiant with life. "I thought I lost you," he whispered, heart aching with the depth of his feelings. "I'm here, Kito," she replied, taking his hand. "You saved me." As they stood together, Kito realized the true power of love. It was not just a weapon against darkness but a guiding force, fueling their hope for the future. With the Guardians' help, Kito and Amina began to share their story, rallying others to join their cause. They transformed the sanctuary into a beacon of light, welcoming those who sought to oppose the darkness. Together, they forged alliances and strengthened their magic, preparing for the challenges that lay ahead. The circle may have been pushed back, but Kito knew they would rise again. But this time, they would be ready. As dawn broke over the horizon, Kito stood with Amina at his side, the sun illuminating the path ahead. "We will face whatever comes together," he vowed. With hearts united, they stepped forward into the light, ready to embrace their new beginning. The dawn was just the beginning of their journey, the journey of love, courage, and the fight against the darkness that threatened to consume their world.